All right, example 7 is very similar to example 6 and example 2. We're kind of combining these two things where we have things on the inside of parentheses with the power on the outside. But also we have this division happening with the fraction. So basically, we are going to be distributing this power to everything on the inside just like we did before, but then we may have to deal with some division later on as well. So for example, we have 2/3 to the power of 2, and so that power of 2 goes to the 2 and also to the 3. There we go. So that's why we have 2 squared and 3 squared here. 2 squared is 4, and 3 squared is 9, so that's why we get 4/9. So same thing will happen with a fractional exponent. This power of 1/2 will go to both of these. So we would get 4 to the power of 1/2 and 9 to the power of 1/2 because this exponent gets distributed. Remember that 4 to the power of 1/2, that would be the same thing as the square root of 4. 9 to the power of 1/2 is the same thing as the square root of 9. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 9 is 3. So that's how we get this 2/3. So we have, for our first example here, we have 64 over 27. That's to the power of 2/3. So this 2/3 is going to go to the 64 and to the 27. So this is going to give me 64 to the power of 2/3. Here we go, to the power of 2/3 over 27 to the power of 2/3. Okay, remember, if we're taking something to the power of 2/3, that means we're taking the cube root of that number, and then we're squaring it. So this can be the cube root of 64 squared, and also the cube root of 27 squared. The cube root of 64 is 4, so this would be 4 squared. The cube root of 27 is 3, so that would be 3 squared. 4 squared is 16, and 3 squared is 9. So this gives me 16/9. Okay, so we can do something similar with the next one. This 2/3 will go to both of these numbers here. So we have 27 to the power of 2/3 over 125 to the power of 2/3. So we're going to be taking the cube root of both of these numbers and then squaring it. So the cube root of 27 is 3, so we'd have 3 squared. The cube root of 125 is 5, so we'd have 5 squared. 3 squared is 9, 5 squared is 25, so we would get 9/25. Okay, next one. This one we have got some powers on the inside already, so we need to remember our rule from earlier where if we have powers on the inside with the power on the outside, we multiply those powers together. So this is going to be 3 to the power of 6 times 1/6 over 12 to the power of 6 times 1/6. 6 times 1/6 is just 1, so that gives me 3 to the power of 1 over 12 to the power of 1, which is just 3 over 12. But that we could simplify to 1/4. So then a similar thing for this next one, we have a negative 1/3. I know that's kind of hard to see on your paper, but it is negative 1/3 that we're going to be distributing to both of these here. So we have 9 to the power of 3 times negative 1/3 over 6 to the power of 3 times negative 1/3. 3 times negative 1/3 is negative 1, so we get 9 to the power of negative 1 times 6 to the power of negative 1. Then we need to remember our rule that said if we have a negative exponents, this changes what side of the fraction it goes on. So this 9 to the power of negative 1, that's going to go to the bottom of the fraction. And this 6 to the power of negative 1 is going to go to the top of the fraction. So that would give me 6/9. They kind of switch sides because they have negative exponents. And 6/9 we could simplify to 2/3. And that is it for example 7.